Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where this week I have been living with the 2024 Lexus LS 500H. And boy, do we have some beautiful lighting this morning, which is a bit off-brand for Michigan this time of year, for our Silver Illusion paint. I think the most beautiful silver color I've ever seen. Leave it to Lexus to do that. Now, this car isn't necessarily breaking news. It's been out since 2018. It got a facelift in 2021. And it's back again for the 2025 model year, exactly the same as this car that you see in front of me. But the price, of course, has gone up by a couple of grand. But I figured I would let you all in on what it's like to live with the hybridized version of the Lexus flagship sedan. Now, this car means a lot to me for a couple of reasons. Obviously, I'm a big Lexus fan myself, as I own a 98 GS400 and an 03 IS300. And fun fact, this LS 500 was built in the same factory as my 98 GS400 in Lexus's Tahara plant that is so incredibly particular that it makes the employees go through a special sort of cleaning machine on its way in to rid them of any sort of dust from the outside world. That is how much care goes into producing these certain Lexus vehicles. Now, another reason this means a lot to me is because one of my first ever reviews on this channel, before it was called Topher Drives, was on a 2019, so a pre-facelift LS 500. The GoPro is suctioned to the windshield, the camera's facing me, it's like an 8-minute video, and that car was from my school's auto show that we would do every year, so I got to drive it like 2 hours on the highway one day. It was like one of the best days of my life. But to see how far we've come now doing videos like this. So kind of a special moment to have been able to actually live with this car this week. So okay, enough of that. Let's talk about this car that we have here in front of us. So this is the hybrid version. As I mentioned, under the hood we have a 3.5 liter Atkinson cycle naturally aspirated V6. It makes 354 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. Now, Lexus doesn't actually give a combined torque output for the LS 500, but considering that this is the same powertrain that's in the LC 500H and they released torque for that, I assume that this must also have 369 pound-feet of torque. And this 3.5 liter V6 is mated to Toyota's multi-stage hybrid system, which is a CVT backed by a 4-speed automatic. So it's kind of like a 4-ratio CVT. We'll get a bit more into that once we're actually driving it, but it's probably the strangest part about this LS 500H. Now, every LS 500H comes standard all-wheel drive, and they also all come standard with the luxury package that is a $15,000 option on the basic LS 500, which means the starting price on this car is $114,000 as spec'd with the Silver Illusion paint and a couple odd dealer accessories. This one's $119,000. The base model LS 500 rear-wheel drive starts just over 80 grand, so this does demand quite a premium over that car. But there are a lot of things you can spec onto it, and the hybrid just kind of comes standard with everything. So we'll show you a lot of those features today. But it's that time of week where I've got to go out to Plymouth to swap cars with the Topher. So we're gonna show you what it's like to live, to commute this LS 500H on the highway, and it should just be the most comfortable thing ever, because this is still kind of the last little bit of that old school luxury. We like to complain nowadays about how everything's focused on tech and it's overbearing, it's hard to use, but this still comes from the last little bit of that era where luxury was focused on comfort. Now, there is still an impressive amount of tech in this car, but it's not all in your face, and that's what I love so much about it. So let's quickly walk you around this. We'll show you what it looks like inside and out. We'll pop our power trunk, which, since this is a hybrid, since it has the luxury package, we are kind of missing some room here in the trunk. I'll take my coat out of here, but I mean, it's big enough, and I suppose I should mention that it'll still fit the most important thing, which is golf clubs. Back here you can see lots of room from side to side there to fit a couple pairs or sets, whatever golfists call it, of golf clubs. Of course, we have our first aid kit. My GS400 and my IS300 have very similar little first aid kits in them. Nice to see that Lexus still kind of does things that they've done from the beginning. And the LS car as a whole kind of set the standard in the early 1990s for what it meant to be a luxury car. And man, they may still be doing that today with kind of this simple luxury take. And I mean, these cars don't change all that often anyways, so we're probably in for a change pretty soon, but I'm enjoying this one while we have it. And inside, I mean, just gorgeous. The luxury package gives us this rear console in the back, 18-way power rear seats, and this has white interior, which has actually held up pretty well. I mean, the interior in this car is just gorgeous. We get a lot of this Takumi-inspired design language here on our door panels. You can see the stitching kind of reflects that. Everything is wrapped in leather or this very, very soft material here. And we should probably start the car, actually. I did this with the QX80, too. I get in the back seat of these luxury cars, and they're not even started for me to show off the tech. So with this luxury pack, we get this little console-mounted screen. It doesn't come off like it does on some of the Mercedes cars, but nonetheless, it actually works pretty well. You can see we can adjust the volume on our music through our 23-speaker Mark Levinson sound system. Super excited to test that out with you guys later. Heated and ventilated seats back here. We can control all of our sunshades, and I want you to pay attention to how there is a sunshade for every single window back here. Even this tiny little window behind the C-pillar here has a little baby shade, and obviously a big one for the back. Super easy access to those, and I actually kind of prefer them here separately from the window switch, because when you have power blinds that are operated with the window switch, sometimes you can mess up and put it up when you don't want to, when you're trying to raise the window, things like that. So I do like that quite a bit. And this is honestly pretty simple back here. There aren't really an overwhelming amount of controls, so much to which most of them can exist just on the home screen. We've got some cup holders, and obviously this can fold up and become a center third seat back here. So this is still a 5-seater configuration. It's not permanent like some of the cars with luxury rear seating packages. I've got my breakfast back here as well, so please don't mind that. Let's go ahead, and before we jump up front, we'll show you this 3.5-liter V6. Also, obviously, we have soft closed doors on this. What's a flagship sedan without soft closed doors? And this is pretty typical for Lexus hybrids. They just cover everything with plastic, but you can see a nice silver engine cover there and just a large, barren wasteland of plastic under this hood. But to be fair, I'm not super interested in seeing a V6 hybrid, so I don't really blame them for that. 0W20 oil. Obviously, we have hood struts on this thing. And I really, really love the way that this LS looks. We have a 4-corner air suspension on this thing. You can see it lowering itself down right now. And if any of you are wondering what these things on the fenders are, as I was when the car was dropped off, this LS 500H, as well as every LS 500H, is equipped with Lexus Teammate, which is Lexus's fun way of explaining their level 2 driving system. So those little things on the fenders are Lidar sensors. And then we have another one here on the front. There's a camera on the windshield. And then there's another one on the back, kind of like Formula 1 style third brake light here on the bottom of the bumper, you can see here. And the idea with this, you know, obviously you could argue that it's hideous that they have all of these LiDAR sensors around the car, but as opposed to a camera system, no matter the conditions, these will work. And I know that I've driven a lot of cars that rely on cameras that when it's super rainy, super snowy, or even if the car is dirty, your entire driver assist system doesn't work. So the idea behind these is they will work no matter what. Let's jump in the LS500 hybrid, and we will go ahead and get ready to embark on our trip, our commute, whatever you want to call it. I've got my climate control on 72. I'm actually going to stick this on auto because this LS500 has Lexus's Climate Concierge, which has all of these little infrared sensors around the cabin, which read your body temperature and then adjust the climate control to make sure you are comfortable in here. The only thing is it does blow the fan quite a bit, and we actually may have to adjust that for our filming purposes. But You can see you can easily adjust your fan speed here with these physical buttons. The only things you can't do with this climate control, though, are adjust where the vents are pointed. And I think there's an argument to be made with how sophisticated this automatic climate control is, but sometimes you just want the air on your feet, you just want it on your face, and there is no physical button to do that. So you actually have to go into the infotainment here to climate, and you can switch it this way. So it does exist behind a couple of clicks. Luckily though, pretty much everything else you need does exist on the base level. You have this button here that is shaped as a seat. That gives you a push to your massage functions for these 28-way front driver and passenger seats. They have leg extensions, they're massaging, they've got everything that you could possibly need. They are fantastic, all sorts of different massage settings with different levels of intensity, all that stuff. And in 2021, we got this new infotainment system, as a lot of these Toyotas and Lexuses did, and it works fantastic. It's a Google-based system, and I've had no issues with it whatsoever this week. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and we have a little phone slot here that exists kind of in between the console and the shifter area to house your phone with a wireless charger. Center console does actually have a pretty decent amount of room. You can see my hat in there right now for scale. This is a beautiful, soft, squishy material. We have this really nice kind of open pore matte wood. No offensive piano black, only just a little bit here around our climate control panel. We've got this shifter like we see in the LC500, and we have all of our physical buttons here for heated seats, steering wheel. We have our rear blind control right there as well. And oh my goodness, guys, the interior design on this thing is so exquisite. And for the most part, it's unchanged from 2018. We even still have a clock here next to our infotainment system. And that's what I love so much about this car, is it's not in your face, forcing all of this technology at you. It just kind of exists gracefully and beautifully. Really nice Alcantara headliner here. We have a couple Mark Levinson speakers. Actually, I think there's like 4 of them in the headliner. And oh my goodness, I forgot to show you guys the vanity mirrors, like a W140 Mercedes S-Class here in the back seat. So I'll show you those from up here. Really nice contrast black dashboard. We have a wood steering wheel that's also heated. We've got paddle shifters for our multi-ratio CVT. We also have a camera rear view mirror here on this LS500, but as these sometimes flicker that I've noticed lately, we're gonna leave it just on the regular mirror setting today. And our drive mode selectors exist up here on the dashboard. I always love seeing them there, just like the LC500, and I believe that's inspired by the LFA. So, you know, I can kind of pretend I'm in an LFA for a second. Maybe someday. Tedward, are you watching? Okay, let's put the seatbelt on. Let's get out on the road. I think the rest of this we can discuss while we are moving. Into reverse here, you can see our panoramic view monitor that will turn transparent. I love this 360 camera setup that Toyota puts on these cars. Kind of started as off-road tech, but really works well for all of the vehicles. You can see the cameras kind of learn the area around you, and then you can see through the bottom of your car. Into drive, front camera pops up. Let's go for a drive. We do have a button down here to lock yourself into EV mode, but it's always just unavailable. So there must be some sort of criteria that you have to meet as far as the battery being at some sort of certain level. I know a lot of these Toyotas with the EV modes are the same in that way. And this air suspension is just pure bliss. Over that speed bump, you can barely tell it's even there. Steering weight in this LS, I think, is absolutely perfect. It feels a lot like the LC500, and there are a lot of aspects of this LS that remind me of the LC, which makes sense because they do share a lot of parts. They're built on the same platform. And you guys know how much I love that LC500, so I have certainly enjoyed this LS500 this week. But the steering, it has some weight to it. It's not pinky light like you'd see in a Mercedes. But I kind of use that pulling taffy reference like I did with the LC500. It's just a very nice, silky steering feel. All right. I wanted to let you guys listen to that V6 working hand in hand with this multi-stage hybrid system, because this is definitely the weirdest thing with this car. So I'll try and explain this to the best of my abilities. So you can hear a bunch of shifts there. And that is because this CVT simulates a 10-speed automatic. And when I say simulates, I mean it kind of simulates it, because it does actually have gears behind the CVT, because there is a 4-speed automatic in here as well. So the way I understand it is there are 10 unique gear ratios, but some of them are real and some of them are fake, because as you can see, the car is shifting. First through third gear exist on one of the ratios. Fourth through sixth exist on another one of the ratios. Seventh through ninth exist on the third ratio, and then the fourth ratio is a unique 10th gear overdrive. So really there's only, hold on. So really there's only 4 gears, but the car wants you to think there's 10, if that makes sense. That was kind of a long-winded explanation to just kind of tell you how this thing works. And I think it's the most unnecessary part of this LS500. And this whole setup is shared with the LC500 hybrid, which I imagine is very unsettling in that car. But the Lexus's kind of argument here was to make the car feel a bit more sporty. But generally, when I want a car to feel sporty, I prefer it to have an actual transmission. So let's go around this corner. We are in comfort mode right now. Pushing a little bit from these tires. We'll do that again in sport mode. You can access that with our drive mode selector up here on the dash, of course. It just feels a little bit unsettling, and these fake gear changes that it does, it's almost like the car is like riding its own clutch, because the revs don't really drop. It just kind of like cuts power for a second and then it comes in again. It's a very, very strange sensation, and I didn't know about this when I first got into the car, and I thought something was wrong with it. And then I actually did some research and I was like, oh, okay, it's supposed to be doing that. Let's put this in manual and we'll actually shift these gears ourselves. Like any Toyota manual mode in a CVT, the paddles simply don't do anything. The car just shifts when it wants to. So there we go. I'll give them this though. This V6 is remarkably quiet, even when it's straining itself to get every ounce of that 369 pound-feet of torque to the road. And I really do love the steering. Even around a corner like this, you've got a pretty good idea of what the front end of the car is doing. Got a little bit of a dead spot on center, and let's go into normal mode, why not? Ooh, doing that reminded me of the sheer amount of body roll in this thing. Can you guys see that on camera, how much body roll this has? And I love it. I think it's fantastic. I don't always want to get into a big Luxo barge like this and have it be the most like dialed in, well handling thing on the road. I want to float around a little bit, and that's what this LS500 does. It may also have to do with the tone of this V6 kind of blending into the overall road noise and other exterior noises. You kind of just don't even notice that it's there. It's not like the Prius where the 4-cylinder is just screaming at you all the time. And I give Lexus kudos for not putting a 4-cylinder hybrid system in their flagship luxury sedan. If I was to go for an LS500, I would go for the base car, which has a turbocharged V6 and a regular 10-speed automatic. Which is, it's the funniest thing about this is, as we know, other manufacturers have no problem whatsoever sticking a traditional torque converter automatic or even a dual clutch or any sort of transmission behind a hybrid car. So why does Toyota have to put this incredibly complicated CVT plus 4-speed automatic weird multi-stage combination thing in this car? It's strange. So with that being said, obviously I have driven the regular LS500. It's been like 6 years since I've done so, but I do remember that car being quite pleasant. Okay, Advanced Drive Teammate is ready to use. Let's go ahead and kind of switch gears, haha, here. Okay,
Advanced drive activated.
Okay, advanced driving is now activated, so this is our Lexus teammate. This is set to 79. This should do everything for us. Okay, it wants me to hold the steering wheel here to be able to make it. This person behind me probably thinks I'm drunk. Okay, so this is our Lexus teammate here. Looks like right now it is not fully in its teammate. No route info. Okay, there it goes. So when this turns blue, this is now fully driving itself. We've got our Lidar sensors going. It's reading everything around us. Obviously, this is an adaptive cruise system as well, so it's going to slow down once it reaches this Subaru here in front of us. You can see it's already slowing down quite a bit. All right, well, we're going to continue to play with this a little bit, but in the meantime, let's talk about what it's like to live with this car on the highway. Well, this is one of the most serene experiences, and it goes to show that luxury comes through in other ways apart from annoying technology. And this is just one of the most comfortable cars that I've sat in this year. It's so quiet. The cabin is very open. I've got plenty of headroom in here. I think I could be probably 6 inches taller and I would still fit in this car with no problem. The 28-way seat is fantastic. In fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and have a massage right now. I do wish there were less clicks to get to this, but this has little balls in the chair, or at least they're doing their best impression of little balls if they're just air-actuated lumbar things, like a Brookstone massage chair, and it is just absolutely magnificent. I love feeling that. You guys can see I haven't had to touch the steering wheel in like 2 minutes. Hardly any wind noise in this thing. Road noise is minimal. It's tough this time of year because the roads are all torn up from the freezing and thawing and the salt and everything else. This time of year in Michigan is genuinely dreadful for any sort of driving that you may be doing. So this teammate system, not quite as sophisticated as a Blue Cruise, a Super Cruise, a system that you'd see in a Tesla or a Mercedes-Benz, but hey, it does the job, it does the trick. Especially since this system has been a thing for the last 3 or 4 years. It's a little bit of a dated system. And I think for 2021, it does just about everything that I would want it to do. I don't know necessarily for 2024. Let's see, oh, look at that. It's sensing that there's a car merging, so it's slowing down. That's cool. All right. Okay. All right, that's great. And now it's going to speed back up. What I love so much about this car also is just how soft everything is in the interior. Both of my elbows are just incredibly comfortable. You've got a good amount of squish to your center console as well as your door panel, which, oh my goodness, just look how beautiful this door panel is. I want to stare at that. I suppose this system kind of allows me to stare at that while I'm driving down the road, but it's great. All right, we're going to kill this. Take manual control. Okay, I am going to take manual control.
Advanced drive ended.
Okay. So I do really love this quite a bit. Ooh, there is some sort of broken truck here on our exit. Let's go into Sport Plus. Why not here? We're gonna kind of hold this line here just to give this dually some room. His wheel fell off. Don't want to make him... Okay, anyways, I am getting a massage. We're in sport mode. Oh, yeah. Look at the angle of the steering wheel. It's like motivating a palace to go around an exit ramp. Kind of felt like the Topher there, putting a car in a situation. And per usual here, we're merging, going 50. Let's see our kick down. Gonna let this Suburban go by us. The power and torque here is honestly great. I have no complaints as far as that goes. You do sacrifice a bit of power and torque from just the regular LS500 turbo car. But you know what? This is fine. It weighs 2.5 tons, actually a bit more than that. It's actually going on 3 tons. It's like 5,400 pounds. So it is quite a bit of weight to move for a 350 horsepower vehicle. But that's the other thing is, The new BMW 760i does 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. I mean, that is just unbelievable for a luxury barge. This one takes about 6 seconds, and you know, that's still pretty quick. And here's the thing, guys, the idea of luxury these days is so skewed, and I think Tesla had a big part in kind of ruining the image of luxury and just kind of forcing all of this technology upon you and kind of convincing consumers that technology is luxury. In my opinion, it's not. I think that obviously there should be some tech in this car to keep up with the times. I like the advanced drive teammate in this and everything. It's great. But what I love most about this car is the suppleness. And you've noticed throughout this video, I haven't necessarily complimented this car for its driving dynamics because they're certainly not the best in the segment. The BMW 760i, the S580 Mercedes, those cars drive better than this, but this car floats better than those cars. And I think that's important for some aspects of luxury, and in most aspects. You get into a luxury sedan from 10 years ago, even if it is a BMW or a Mercedes or an Audi, it's gonna drive like this. And I don't know, guys, I think that was kind of peak luxury before things in interiors were frustrating. And this is becoming a little bit of a boomer rant, but you get in the new BMW 7 Series. Here, I'll give you an example. My mom's BMW X3 was in service for a warranty concern at the BMW dealership a couple of weeks ago. And as a loaner car, they gave my mother, who's used to driving a 2020 X3, a brand new BMW i7. And we had to sit in the garage for half an hour, and I had to show her how to use everything in that car because it's so complicated. And I'm not saying for somebody like me who can, you know, figure everything out. Somebody like you and I, the car enthusiasts, we can get in that, we can be excited about it, we can learn how to work everything. But I mean somebody like my mother who just wants to get into a car and drive it. I could put her in this car and she would have no problem. She'd know how to work absolutely everything right away. But these new luxury cars, they're a little bit over the top. And for the sort of people that can afford those, old people, I don't know that they really want that. So maybe weigh in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong about that. And obviously that's the beauty of the comment section, is you guys can weigh in and state your opinions. But I think that this is just a perfect level. It's my very long-winded way of saying that this is a perfect level of luxury. So before we run out of highway, actually, let's go ahead and test out this 23-speaker Mark Levinson sound system.
Shaking like I need it. I don't know why you got me sinking so low. Yeah, yeah. Girl, you got me restless. I got to know, don't keep me waiting. Said I love in motion, let's go. I can be yours.
Oh, this volume knob is so silky and smooth. I do enjoy operating that, but obviously you've got volume controls here on the steering wheel as well. This is one of the best sound systems in the segment, and it's tough actually because the Bowers, which is an upgraded system in the 7 Series, is very good. The Burmester in the S-Class is very good. I haven't heard the Bang & Olufsen in the Audi A8 and the Bang & Olufsen in the G90. You know what? They're all very good. I shouldn't say this is one of the best in the segment. I would say it's about on par with all of them because they're all fantastic. This one sounds a little bit different though because we have these roof-mounted speakers and we have this single kind of dashboard-mounted speaker, so your highs kind of sound a bit more like they're right in front of you, like a sound stage, and that's kind of the way that they've purposely set this sound system up. And I kind of like that. I mean, it sounds great. And the best thing about this sound system is you can listen to it at a low volume and it sounds fantastic. You can have a conversation with whoever you're in the car with and you don't have to sacrifice the quality of your sound system. So I do really appreciate that. Let's jump off the highway here, and geez, I guess it's already almost time to wrap the video. I'm going going to turn my massage off. Is there really no better way to do this? Yeah, there's not. Okay. Just have to go in here and toggle that off. That's a little bit irritating. Don't like that. Inputs in this car are quite nice, and obviously Toyota, I say this in every video, they've had so long to get this right. Brake pedal feel, accelerator, it's all nice. Obviously you can tone things down by putting this into eco mode, as we'll do, I suppose, for the rest of the video. It's funny, some of the noises that this makes behind the dashboard are kind of reminiscent of my 98 GS400. Like, I don't know if it's the brake booster or what is like energizing. I think it is actually, because my foot's on the brake. It sounds just like the whole ABS setup on my 25-year-old Lexus. So I think one of the most surprising things actually is this multi-stage hybrid system and how kind of unfinished it feels. Like I was just saying about, ooh, that is a Shelby Charger. My goodness, I love seeing fun cars while we do these videos. As I was just saying, the accelerator feel, the brake pedal feel are so dialed in. Toyota's had so much time to dial in all of this hybrid tech. Why have they gone and introduced this weird transmission setup, hybrid system setup, that in my opinion is just simply unneeded? I know that their philosophy has always been CVTs with their hybrids, but consider some of their new cars, like the RX 500H F-Sport Performance, that has just a traditional 6-speed automatic behind their hybrid setup. So I hope that the next generation has just a regular transmission if they do a hybrid version. But, and there's a big but with this, I am not really looking forward to the next generation of this car because I don't think it'll be as good. I think that they're going to get caught up in this whole tech war with the flagship sedans, and I think that it's going to be too tech heavy. This may be the best, and this may be peak LS. I think if I were to spec out a new LS 500, I could get a really nice one for under 100 grand. That's the other thing, is the starting price on this car and the price overall is so much less than its competitors. I mean, a base model BMW 7 Series is going on 20 grand more than a base model LS 500. So just lots of things to consider here with this car. And don't forget the legacy of the Lexus LS and the bulletproof nature of this thing and how great these cars are and how long they will last. And take a look at resale values, and you know, it's one of those things where you know a good car by its resale value, and this is one of those. This car is, though, very easy to modulate in situations like this when you're in stop and go traffic, downtown, things like that. It's very, very natural to drive this car. And as it should be, you know, this every luxury car should have some level of waftability, as Rolls-Royce calls it. And while this is no Rolls-Royce, it is honestly one of the most comfortable in the segment right now in 2024. And I suppose it kind of goes without saying, and I haven't mentioned it till now, I meant to, the ride in this car is sublime. And that goes along with all of our other comfort points in this, but they've managed to find this really nice happy medium between having really nice control over this and the car being very floaty, because you don't feel like you're in a Maybach where you're kind of out of control with the floaty nature of this, but it is so soft and supple. And this is actually a terrible piece of pavement right here. No problem at all. 'Tis but a minor little bump in the road. Yeah, this is a really, really nice, sophisticated air suspension system. Does its job very, very well. I can't believe I've gone this whole video without mentioning the wood steering wheel. I think it's because it's kind of hard to notice with this trim. With this having the black wood, it kind of just blends in with the rest of the steering wheel. Though I always complain that nobody makes wood steering wheels anymore, and this isn't really what I mean. I mean like the big, thick spokes of wood, right? Like the entire top of the steering wheel in wood. But this is a nice effort, having these kind of little wood inserts. And I think the big thing with wood steering wheels like that not really existing anymore is because people want heated steering wheels, and this one is of course heated, and they still have managed to work in a little bit of wood. So kudos to Lexus. I love this steering wheel altogether. The leather on it is super soft. I like the location of the paddle shifters. They feel really nice in the hands. All right, well, I think I've gotten out everything that I wanted to say. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's pull into the business park, as I suppose most LS500 owners do at some point. And we'll end our commute, we'll park at the office, and that'll wrap it up. I think the best way to wrap this up is to say that I love this as an LS500, but I don't love it as a hybrid. So if you were to go for one of these, don't get the hybrid. Just get the regular turbo V6 with a 10-speed automatic. Or honestly, just go for any generation of Lexus LS, because they're all iconic in their own way. And I think that's what I'll end up doing. I don't know what generation I'm going to go for. Obviously not this one because it's very expensive, but an older one at some point. Actually, leave in the comments what your favorite generation of Lexus LS is. I think I've got to go with first gen. First or second gen. But I really like the third gen too. I don't know. Okay, let's put... Oh, parking brake actually thinks I'm talking to it. Parking brake will automatically apply for you there. Comfort access moves that steering wheel out of the way. My GS400 does the same thing. So all these years later, we're still seeing a lot of the same stuff, which I do really, really like and appreciate. Okay. Enjoy a bit more of this really nice lighting on our Silver Illusion LS500 hybrid. Guys, if I left anything out, please let me know. There's always a lot going on with luxury cars, so usually something is forgotten. So please ask me in the comments if I have forgotten anything. I've put 130 miles on this. I've been living with it for 5 days, actually. So I've spent a lot of time in this thing. And it's been a great experience. Really cool to meet one of these again, like 6 years after my original video on the car. So cool. All right, well, thank you guys all so much for watching. And that'll do it for us today. We will see you in the next one. Take care.